Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD StarCraft, and today I'll be broadcasting for you guys a Heart of the Swarm matchup. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, let me introduce to you guys the red Zerg player. His name is Raximus, and he is going to be spawning on Star Station. Up to the top left-hand corner, we have someone that's quite well known, and somebody I've been casting a lot of games of lately. His name is WhiteRa. So it's going to be a Protoss versus Zerg. And I guess I've kind of been on a big WhiteRa binge lately, casting a ton of his games. And I'm not going to tell you guys who sent me the replay because a lot of times that will spoil the victor. Although I did cast a game with Wilco, and he graciously sent in a game where he lost, and I casted that a few days ago. Great game, by the way. But anyways, I won't tell you guys who sent this one in, and a lot of times, you know, just so you guys might be thinking, well, of course WhiteRa sent you the replay. You know, I'm good friends with WhiteRa, and he does send me a lot of games. But a lot of times people will send replays in of themselves playing against higher level, well-known pros. So this should be interesting. PVZ, and we'll see what happens. And as always, I do try to broadcast the latest patch, HOTS 6. This is recently, as of about a week ago, because the patch came out a week ago. And I want to just try to get as many of the latest replays out for you guys, because things are just constantly changing on a dime. Blizzard is just releasing new patches left and right, and it is very hard to keep up to date. You know, things are just changing so quickly. It's actually hard enough to remember what the newest changes to the Mothership Core are as is. But I can guarantee you guys that this is the latest patch, unless by some freak of nature, Blizzard decides to release a patch in the next couple of hours. So the players are just giving each other a little bit of friendly banter here. We do have a gas coming up from Raximus. That's interesting. You don't usually see Zerg get early gas against Protoss. And I wonder if he's going to do some type of Zergling Baneling, Roach Baneling. I mean, as a Protoss, if you scout out early gas like this, immediately you've got to be thinking that's a little strange. And I guess in Heart of the Swarm, you do see some Zerg players rush the gas to get Swarmhouse out very quickly. But, you know, this is intriguing. We'll have to see what the deal with that is. And we do have a third hatchery coming up from Raximus. I guess maybe he's just getting the early gas for Zergling speed. And, you know, I guess that Zergling speed is just his extra insurance policy in case WhiteRa decides to do some type of 2-base all-in. But even against a 2-base all-in, you don't need the gas that early on. 2-base all-ins don't hit until like 9 or 10 minutes about. So the only reason why you'd get that is for good map control, which you already get as Zerg anyways. Or in this situation, I'm not too sure. We'll have to see what the deal with that is. And WhiteRa at this point, has he scouted the third hatchery? He has not. And you know, around this point in Protoss versus Zerg, it is actually kind of hard to get out there as a probe and see what you need to see. A lot of time the probe will die. So the nice thing here in Heart of the Swarm is Protoss is equipped with a MOCO, that is the Mothership Core. And the Mothership Core now, with its quick speed, I'm seeing a lot of Protoss players go out there and find out what's going on. They use it as an early scouting unit, and you can actually get a couple of drone kills here or there as well. So if WhiteRa's confused right now, if he's thinking, well, is it an all-in? Is something weird going on? At the very least, he's going to have his Mothership Core out within the minute here. And he'll be able to send it out across the map and figure out exactly what the hell is going on. It looks like he is going to go for a Stargate. Wow, interesting. And he's going to move out here with the Mothership Core, and he's going to see that, you know, there's no early crazy stuff. There is Zergling speed, but there's no Banelings, there's no Roaches at his front door. And I like the Stargate in general, because if it is a Roach all-in here, he can quickly Chrono Boost a Void Ray, and with the Void Ray and a few Sentries and the Photon Cannon, he should be able to hold off Roach play as long as he gets the Void Ray out really quickly. And at this point, he already realizes, all right, no Roaches, I should be all right. And MOCO 1 now out on the field, it can go ahead and do a little bit of damage as well. Goodbye Zergling at the Xel'Naga Tower. And wow, Raximus is actually going to throw up a Spore Crawler. And you don't really need that, You can actually defend against a Mothership Core with just your Queen. And right now, will he be able to keep the drones alive? Yep. I'm surprised he actually invested into a Spore Crawler. I think what's going on here is Raximus had the early Zergling, he sent it in, he didn't really see that many sentries at the front, and if you don't see that many sentries, you've got to assume that Protoss is saving gas for something, and it's either DTs or Stargate play. And in this situation, you know, it is going to be Stargate, and the Spore Crawlers might actually come in quite handy here. WhiteRa actually going for Oracles. Do note now that the Mothership Core no longer has the Energize ability, so there really is no reason to leave it at home. And WhiteRa is just being totally offensive with it right now. Unfortunately, you do not get vision of a Xel'Naga Tower with an air unit. We'll see what this Oracle can do as it's making its way around the back left here. And it looks like just with its base energy and whatever it could generate on the way, it will have enough for one Entomb. And Raximus losing a little bit of mining time here. He is sending some Zerglings back, though. And he should be able to deal with this pretty quickly. You know, overall, since he's got Zerglings and a Queen here, I think he might lose something like 200 minerals total with the mining he could have done. But actually, he's throwing up 2 Spine Crawlers here. And, you know, that's 2 drones lost plus 200 more. It just shows that Raximus really wants to, I guess, make sure that he doesn't lose any mining time at all from that Oracle in the back. But I already feel like just forcing the Zerg to throw those crawlers does hurt them a little bit. So I think that Oracle pretty successful, and another Oracle gonna come in here as well. And now it starts to add up a little bit. 3 Spine Crawlers from Raximus, wow. You know, as a Zerg player, I would just keep some Zerglings next to the mineral lines and use my Queens and my Zerglings to deal with the mineral patches and the Entombs. Not too sure about throwing down Crawlers. I think that really hurts your economy at this stage of the game. But Raximus does have 71 drones, so he's got money to play with. WhiteRa now going for a 3rd base. I did note that, I did notice in the top left that there is a Colossus on the way. So WhiteRa is kind of mixing it back down into Robotech now, and that's interesting. The Zerglings are going to come in and they will see an Immortal, but I don't think at this point as a Zerg player you can put 2 and 2 and say, hey, he's going Colossus. That's very strange to go for Stargate and go right into Colossus, and we do have Roaches and Zerglings coming in here. They're going to try to snipe that Immortal out. And Immortal is going to go down, and he's going to get a Sentry as well. Not a bad attack by Raximus. And he's got a lot of Roaches here, but the Colossus has arrived. And with the Colossus making its appearance, it's very unlikely that these Roaches will be able to do much more. And I think Raximus will probably want to pull away, but as he's on the way out, taking a ton of damage. And just going back to what I was saying before, it's unusual for Protoss to go Stargate right into Colossus, and at one point Raximus actually was going with a Hydra Den. There you guys see it right now, but he's not going to make any more Hydras now that the Colossus is on the field. So a lot of tech switching coming out from WhiteRa, and don't forget, he still has these 3 Oracles out. 1 behind each mineral patch, in fact, and that is pretty annoying. I guess it is a good idea after all for Raximus to go ahead and get those crawlers up. He's got a couple of crawlers at every patch, so the loss of minerals here will be mitigated somewhat. 4th hatchery now on the way for the Zerg player, and he's also got 4 Swarm Hosts coming out as well. So we're going to see a mixture here of HOTS units. Also have a Tempest for WhiteRa. Now remember, in the latest patch, the Tempest no longer does the bonus damage to Massive. Rather, you have to research that upgrade at the Fleet Beacon. And trying to find that building right now. I'm not too sure where it is. I think it hasn't been made yet, so he hasn't made... That's right. The Tempest no longer requires a Fleet Beacon to be created. And the Tempest has actually been reduced in size, so it's no longer considered like a massive capital airship like the Carrier is. Interesting changes made here in Heart of the Swarm. And a nice composition, I've got to say, from WhiteRa. This is his kind of claim to fame, I feel like, in Heart of the Swarm. I know that Protoss have been struggling to make use of the new units, but WhiteRa has been incorporating a lot of airplay here. in HOTS. I mean, I've seen him do a lot of Oracle stuff. I've seen him use a lot of Tempests. And it seems like he's kind of making it work, man. He's already hurting the mineral income for the Zerg player as the crawlers start to work it down. But, you know, this is just energy now at this point for these Oracles. There is no cost associated with having the Oracles on the field at this point. WhiteRa has far overcame any early game disadvantage he would have had by going for Stargate. And at this point, it's just free mineral loss for the Zerg player. But Raximus is just expanding at will. He just says, I don't care. You might have 3 Oracles, but I have 5 bases and crawlers to defend every single one as well. A couple of Corruptors making their way into the middle of the field, but there's a lot of anti-air here. I think Raximus was hoping he could pick off a couple of Colossus, but that didn't work out too well as WhiteRa had more than enough Stalkers and Tempests. And I don't think at this point making Swarm Hosts is a good idea at all. In fact, Swarm Hosts, they're very good against Protoss ground, but against Protoss air, especially the Tempest and its extreme range, I don't think that it is worth it at all because obviously the Tempest can just snipe the Swarm Host from a distance. So I'm not too sure why Raximus is making more Swarm Hosts, but I do like how he's incorporated Infestors. So this is overall a pretty good composition, and the Tempest still just kind of flying around the place, annoying the Zerg player, just entomb fielding the economy as much as possible. You can see the income just dropping to below 1,000 as WhiteRa claims his 4th expansion. Also bringing a few Oracles back home, I guess. He doesn't want to stay around too long, and I like bringing the Oracles back. Just having one in your army is nice because you can use the Revelation ability, which prevents Swarm Hosts from burrowing and remaining invisible, or Infestors from burrowing and running away. However, it does not reveal units that are already cloaked, so you do have to keep that in mind. As Raximus comes in here, and he gets a great fungal growth, he can chain fungal as he sends the Zerglings inside, but there's a lot of Colossus here. The Corruptors coming up to greet those units, and all the Stalkers, a lot of Stalkers falling, not all of them in fact, but a lot of them, and a couple of Colossus now beginning to go down as well. The Moko has fallen. Tempest just keeping their distance and sniping the Corruptors at will, though. And I think WhiteRa probably came out a little bit ahead in that engagement. I think he did look a little better, as Raximus has to be careful here. He doesn't have much units left. He's going to have to rely on his Swarm Hosts and his Infestors to stay alive here. The Oracle has used Revelation, but it only reveals units that are not already invisible, meaning the Swarm Hosts are not seen. But it does look like WhiteRa's got an observer somewhere, so no, he doesn't actually. He doesn't see the Swarm Hosts. And now he's just going to make a march through the middle of the map. Raximus just kind of throwing away his army one at a time in 2 different phases, and that's not what you want to do as Zerg. You got to save up for a big attack to crush the Protoss army. And WhiteRa is now reinforcing at will. That's a lot of Stalkers coming in. I don't know if Raximus is going to be able to make it out of here okay, man. He's trying to take out the Tempests, and he is going to be able to kill one, but he just lost a base in the middle of the map. Do note, though, he still has the 2 bases on the bottom right-hand corner, so a lot of expansion still for him. Losing one isn't the end of the world, and he's kept his drone count pretty healthy as well, at 82 right now. But WhiteRa's army is so menacing. Look at how big this is. A death ball composed of Heart of the Swarm units and Wings of Liberty units. And this build kind of just starting off with Oracle Harass and getting him to this point in the game. Not a bad strategy at all from WhiteRa. But there is an impending counterattack from Raximus, who is now trying to distance mine. But there are 4 Stalkers, just not going to allow these drones to mine at all as one more hatchery falls. Roaches and Zerglings trying to make a counter. They might be able to kill off this base depending on if WhiteRa warps in any units. And we might just have ourselves somewhat of a base race here, ladies and gentlemen. Raximus should be able to kill off this base, but WhiteRa has already killed off 2 bases, and he should be able to kill off a 3rd hatchery as well. And when it comes down to it, if these 2 armies come back and meet each other, I don't know if Raximus has enough to deal with this. This is a lot of firepower. As HDreplays realizes it's the base race right now, he's just going to throw up cannons. He's got 9 on the way, and that is going to make it very hard for Zerg to base race effectively. I think Raximus's best option at this point is to try to save up enough forces and collide, smash everything in at once, and I think he's going for it. Although, I don't know if he's going to have enough. Should be able to kill the Colossus, actually, trying to focus him down. Last Colossus standing here has 42 kills and finally falls, but there's still a Stalker Ball alive along with the Tempests. And HDreplays just looking good right now. I think he is going to get this game, ladies and gentlemen. And I gotta say, the build from HDreplays is as Heart of the Swarm as you can possibly get with Protoss. You know, a lot of Protoss still feel there isn't that many options for their race in HOTS, but there's the GG. But I think HDreplays really played this out as innovatively as he possibly could. You've got to remember, he did go for the Oracles to start the game off, and it seems like they worked out pretty well. They did harass the economy for a long time, despite the Zerg player having a lot of crawlers and whatnot. You know, you got to remember, it hurts the Zerg to make those crawlers. And the continuous entomb fields, I think, led HDreplays to be able to have such a big army compared to the Zerg. And overall, a good HOTS game, PvZ right there. I hope you guys enjoyed the cast. And once again, a great showing by HDreplays. So HDreplays takes another victory on my YouTube channel. He gotta stop doing this. No one's gonna watch if they know that you're always gonna win, HDreplays. You're gonna actually never let Protoss get buffed if you keep winning like this. So take it easy, man. Cool down your jets a little bit. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the casting, and I'll see you guys in the next video. This is HD StarCraft signing out.